It's 2 o'clock on a Tuesday, and you know what that means, don't you? It's time for another exciting episode of Taxi's Daily Quarantini Happy Hour. Woohoo! And welcome to the big show. Hello, everybody. Let's see if anybody has arrived yet, or if it's... Let's see. Oh, we got to turn off the ringer. Apparently the squirrels are on the patio. My Ring doorbell or Ring security cam's going crazy. Hello. All right. So far we've got Dan Weber, and Dan Weber. Am I there, Dan? I just want to know. I checked all my tech before I launched, but just want to make sure that you can see me. George, why do you have two first names? Georges. I'm curious. Okay, you guys are all saying hello to each other. Are you getting me? That's the most important thing. Am I live? I see. Oh, you are getting me because you answered my question. Georges is your nickname. Got it. I had a friend in grade school. His name was Marty Martin. Just saying, his parents, not that original. Okay, so today we're going to do an episode of Ask Michael Anything. But before we do, I've got a little stuff I want to go over. Oh, you know what? I can't see my audio levels. How are they looking today? There we go. All right, they're good. Okay, things that you can ask me about. You can ask me taxi stuff today. You can ask me studio stuff, film and TV music licensing stuff, songwriting stuff, production stuff, whatever you want. But before we get into the questions, I want to talk about gophers. Our backyard. Animals, it seems like animals are happy that humans aren't outside as much, certainly not as much traffic. The gophers in our backyard, admittedly, we live in kind of a hilly, we're like less than a mile away from the foot of a mountain range. So we're living in their neighborhood, I guess, but I don't care. They're ruining my yard. I feel like Bill Murray in Caddyshack. It's gotten to the point now of being absolutely ridiculous. What used to be 4 or 5 holes, it was manageable. It's now like 100 holes. And clearly bigger gophers have moved into the hood because the mounds that they're leaving are now, they would fill up like a half a bucket of dirt, each one of them. So I watched Caddyshack again last night for maybe the 200th time and did what Bill Murray did, which is I took a hose and shoved it down one of the holes, hoping that gophers would pop out on the other end and run away and go, okay, we're moving out of that neighborhood. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Except a minor mudslide down into my neighbor's yard. Our neighbor lives below us at the bottom of the little hill that we're on. And I caused a little mudslide that slid onto the deck of their pool area. Oh, well, hopefully it'll rain today and wash it away. Good news from the taxi staff. Like I've told you guys in the past, we're all working remotely, and the staff is doing an amazingly good job. Man, we're all digging it. We kind of miss each other, but, we're doing Zoom chats for staff meetings, using WhatsApp a lot. Emails a lot, and not only is nothing slipping through the cracks, but I would say in some respects we're probably doing a better job than we were doing in the office. No, not a better job. Equally as good, I mean. Anyway, every day at the end of the day, right around 6 o'clock, Tom from our A&R department sends me an update of how many listings we've got. And we started this week out with we ended last Thursday, I think, with about 100, just under 100. Anyway, we still have 96 requests for music in the hopper, and we're churning them out at 3 listings a day and a dispatch every day. At least dispatches, the normal days, I believe, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sundays. we're doing great on getting listings, and really good listings, I might add. So if you haven't checked out the listings in a little while, go to taxi.com. I forget what it's taxi.com/industry listings. I don't know. Ariana, can you please look that up and post the link? Also, want to tell you, about a year ago, we went on a major binge to find new screeners that were even better at film and TV stuff. A lot of focus on film and TV instrumental music. So we found screeners that had unbelievable resumes and turned out to be really nice people. I think we hired 5 of them about a year ago, and 3 of them are still on board. And I've got to say, I just love having them under the roof. They are doing an amazing job. We just... Excuse me. Sorry, I'll tell you why I'm coughing in a second. We just brought on a new screener about 3 or 4 weeks ago who specializes in independent film stuff, and he's doing great critiques, and everybody really likes him. So we're really happy to have him on board, and he's also helping us network in the indie film producer ballpark. So we should be getting more listings from indie films. You guys like the indie film listings, right? While they, certainly don't pay big sync fees, usually they're more like in the, $100 to $500 sync fee range. I've got to say, we get so much stuff. Every time an indie film producer runs a listing with Taxi, we end up getting multiple placements in the film. As a matter of fact, the gentleman who I just mentioned reported back that one of the producers, the executive producers on a film that he just turned stuff into, was absolutely blown away. This guy was pretty locked in with what he had musically. And it's like, yeah, sure. If you think you can find me something better, give it a shot. So they ran listings with Taxi, and they ended up replacing a lot of the stuff that the director or EP already had picked for the film that they really loved. They were blown away by the quality and the selection of stuff they got from Taxi. So go Taxi members. Let's see. I haven't heard anything from anybody, Ariana. I don't know if you've heard anything from anybody. Whatever happened to the song you guys were going to do, the collaboration? I know that somebody started a thread in the forum, and then I didn't hear anything. Wasn't today is Tuesday, right? Kind of losing track. Today was the day that I was going to premiere the song online, was it not? Amanda West said, nobody contacted me. Musicians, come on, people. Brad Gray says, so far there's 2 of us in the forum. Well, you know what they say, it only takes 2. Did you guys watch the regular Taxi TV episode yesterday with Randon Purcell? Other than the fact that we started 14 minutes late, we had just some audio loop that 4 of us could not solve. So we punted and figured out another way to get on the air. And then we just, Brandon lost his bandwidth, excuse me, about, 2/3 of the way through the episode. But on the archive version, Ariana is going to edit out the flaky section. Hello, Scott Hansen. How you doing, buddy? Glenn Letts, good to see you. Dean Crepane, how are you, buddy? Gloria, always good to see you guys. So, DW says, hi, yes, yesterday's show was great. I think Randon is such a great guest. He's so articulate and thorough in the information that he delivers. So if you have any desire to produce music for film and TV, or film trailers and TV promos, go watch yesterday's episode of Taxi TV at our regular spot on YouTube. Want to let you know, Amanda, you're going to be really ticked off at me. I'm so sorry. A couple others of you are as well. But we've been getting some emails and such telling us that people want to watch the daily Quarantini Happy Hour. But because it's at 2 o'clock and they're working from home, they can't watch. And this thing was supposed to be primarily about the live show, not so much about the archives. So we're going to test tomorrow and change the time to 4 p.m., the time that we do the regular episodes of Taxi TV, which I know totally screws you guys in the UK. And I'm so sorry. But there are a small handful of you guys and many more people from the mainland in North America. So I'm sorry. Amanda says, lunch hour. You're right. Believe me, your face popped into my head as soon as we had the discussion about this. But people keep telling us, and our numbers in the middle of the day are dwindling. And maybe the content sucks. Maybe your host, not that exciting. Anyway, we're going to give it a shot at 4 o'clock, see how that works. The anomaly in black for us in Sweden as well. I'm sorry, the anomaly. I really am. Who knows? Maybe 4 o'clock, won't draw great numbers, and we'll go back to 2 o'clock and just say, "Oh, hell with those Americans." I don't know. Want to let you know that upcoming guests on this show for phone-ins are going to be Bobby Borg and Ronan Chris Murphy have both agreed to do something. Possibly Ronan Chris Murphy tomorrow, although I haven't gotten return email yet. Hi guys, my first live view check, completely irrelevant, but love the server in the background. What server? Are you talking about the piece of furniture in the background? Or are you talking about a computer server? Or are you talking about the Halo? My Halo. Peter Rahill, I'm early retired so I can watch all day. But that's only when they give you permission to turn on your computer, right, Rahill? Yeah, I'm curious about this, sir. Oh, the buffet. That's what you're talking, the cabinet? Okay. Yeah, we got that years ago, probably like 18 or 20 years ago when we bought this house. Right, the sideboard. We were, I can't remember how, we were in an antique place, a place that sold Asian antiques, and saw that thing, and I looked at my wife and I said, I almost don't care how much it costs. It would go perfectly in our home. And it turned out that it wasn't that expensive. It was like, okay, but it was doable. So we got it, and we love that piece. It's very frail. Every time I open the door, believe it or not, we keep extra toilet paper in there because it's next to the powder room. So we keep a stash of TP in there. Shh, I shouldn't have told anybody. Now people are going to break into the house, steal our toilet paper. Anyway, every time I open the door to restock the bathroom with toilet paper, I'm always afraid it's going to fall off. So far, so good. I think we've had that thing for 18 years. And I got to say, I'm in love with the fact that the clock matches the color scheme, the whole thing. It's working for me. Okay, so now that we're done with home decorating, we're going to move on to today's food tip. For those of you who live near a Trader Joe's, you probably have tried this already, the tomato and roasted red pepper soup. It's delicious. Pour it into a mug or a little bowl, stick it in the microwave for a minute to a minute and a half, maybe a little longer if you've already had it in the fridge. Amazingly good. Throw some croutons in there with a little dollop of sour cream, even better. But because I've been a bachelor during the quarantine, as I mentioned earlier, my wife is 7,500 and change miles away. We were both visiting our kids, and I came home early, and she stayed and got stuck there. So I'm a good bachelor, and I'm a good cook, and I really enjoy cooking. So I had some of this, and then I thought, I bet this would be really good if I mixed it with some of this. There we go. Okay. Trader Joe's habanero sauce. This stuff is hot. It's not like ghost pepper hot, but this will do some damage if you don't watch the quantity. So my recommendation is take this, add about 1/8 of a teaspoon of the habanero sauce, mix it together, and then for the coup de grace, dump it over a bowl of penne pasta, or spaghetti, the pasta of your choice, I guess I should say, and crumble a little feta cheese on top, and maybe even throw a couple of croutons on top just to give it a little crunch. I know not too many people put croutons on pasta, but if you're going for the high carb thing, why not? Am I trying to watch what I'm eating during the quarantine? Not so much. Don't get any, Peter Rahill says, don't get any of this habanero in your eyes. So true. It's hot. Yes, I have watched Bonzo, the hot ones on YouTube. It's hysterical. I love it. Wow, Dean's on his bike, 142 for his heart rate. Pounds are coming off as I watch. Now I can go to Trader Joe's. There you go. Nice call, Michael. A great combo of textures and flavors. Thank you. Michael's Food Show. Hanson, I would cook, for my 50th birthday, which was actually quite some time ago, I wanted to rent a restaurant and kick out the kitchen staff other than maybe a sous chef and do all the cooking. Invite 50 to 100 friends. I've only got 5, so it was going to be hard. But invite people in and have me be the chef. That way, I could avoid talking to people. I get very serious when I cook. Even my wife would be the first to tell you. She does not like to be anywhere near me in the kitchen when I'm cooking because I treat everything like I'm a short order cook, and pans are flying, dishes are flying, microwave doors open, oven doors closed. I move very quickly, but it's all in an effort to deliver the food in a timely fashion so that it hits the plate while it's hot. And nothing pisses me off more than me plating up a great meal that's got steam rising up off of it, and it's just, my mouth is watering, and I want the feedback. Did you like it? Was it as good as I hoped it would be? And they're like talking and washing hands and dilly-dallying. By the time they eat it, it's lukewarm. Wah, wah, wah. Oh, hold on. Yeah, see, why do I have to do it with my mouth when I've got that dude? You like my volume control? Put a little tape over the speaker. There you go. Used to do that with my NS10s, except we did it with Kim wipes. All right. Chef Michael has a certain ring to it. Yeah, I love to cook. To me, cooking is like mixing. It's taking your favorite elements and putting them together, the right balance of elements. And you get to determine, texture, taste. Is it savory? Is it sweet? Are they balancing each other? I love it. I know, Dean, while you're on there doing your 142 heart rate, Dean Crepane also loves to cook. Too bad you and I weren't roommates at some point in our lives, huh? That would have been fun. Okay, so there's the food tip. On to the rest of the show, which is ask me anything about anything within reason. Next road rally I get to, I'm coming to yours for dinner, Michael. Just no hot stuff. Okay. Yes, Amanda, you're on. Demystifying the kitchen. There you go. Charles Thibault? Can you check out a few of my songs like Nashville's a Lonely Town? Thanks so much, kid. You must be really old if you're calling me kid. I only listen to music from Taxi members because I owe them such a great debt of gratitude for being wonderful customers. So I don't even know if you are a Taxi member. Songs from a headband question. Are Nate and Kaylee going to be on Taxi TV? Yes. They are good friends of ours. They actually live minutes away from where I sit at this moment. They will absolutely do it. Honestly, we've been so busy since the road rally. Because I remember saying, would you guys join me for a Taxi TV? And they said, of course. I was on the phone with Rob Shirelli the other night, and I said, I keep forgetting to ask Nate and Kaylee. So yes, they will be on. Is it true that the Liberty Mutual jingle was written by the CEO's adorable 3-year-old granddaughter? I have no idea, Dean. Glenn Letts wants to know, that's all right. Anything good on... Anything good on Netflix? How many of you guys have watched The Tiger King yet? It's a guilty pleasure. It's weird. If you want to see what American white trash looks like, watch that show. It will keep your attention. You'll want to turn it off, but you can't. Whoa, things are going by too quickly. I need to renew my taxi membership, and I know someone else who wants to join. Any sale or discount we should be looking out for? You just missed a sale about 10 days ago, I think. Something like that. Best thing you could do would be email memberservices@taxi.com, and a lovely woman named Liz will be more than happy to help you out. If we've got any promotions coming up, Liz will take care of you. She might even let you take advantage of it a day or two early. Whoa. What do you think? Where did that go? I'm looking. You guys are talking about Zoom. What are the best shows we should be listening to that we should model our cues after? Watch any of the Bachelor type stuff. That's what's called a competition show, so you hear a lot of tension, competition style tension. Kardashians, a classic. Another show that we love to hate. But you know what? They have some of the best instrumental cues, I think, on reality TV. Any of the adorable stuff that's on Animal Planet, any of the shows with kittens or puppies that are all rolling all over the floor and beating each other up, those always have cute music. Lots of dramedy cues. Dean actually has one, has several, I think, in the shows, but in his book, which I happen to have, and I didn't know that he was going to be in the chat room today, so I just had to have this. I actually took it off a chair that's sitting next to me. Demystifying the Cue by Dean Krippain, right there. Dean gives you examples of stuff. He talks about how it was made, the arrangements and such, and the production, and also gives you links where you can listen to examples of it. If you don't own this book, you're either super duper professional and don't need the book, or you're not tuned in to what could cut the timeline down to your success. I'll make it a lot shorter. Let's see. Love Taxi TV only because first group of workers who took 2 weeks sick pay had to come back. Wow. Get both of the books. Honestly, I've only said this about one person's book, and that's Dean's, or both of Dean's books. If you buy his books and you don't think they're worth every penny and then some, let me know and I will reimburse you. I'm not his publisher. I don't make a penny when you buy his books. But I believe that strongly that they're required reading for anybody that wants to do instrumental cues. Not that Dean can't do songs as well. He's a great songwriter. Vicky Flowers says, I don't always get to watch Taxi TV because I work at that time, but love watching it later when I'm free. That's good. See, we know that, Vicky, because we have a camera mounted in your home right above your computer, and we watch you when you watch. Kidding. Darren Moss says, did you see all the mentions of Buy Me a Rose when Kenny Rogers sadly passed away recently? I didn't. I saw that he passed away, and it was sad. I've actually met Kenny twice. When the song went to number one, BMI hosted a number one party in Nashville, and we got invited to that. Very proud of the songwriters. Two of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, Eric Hickenlooper and Jim Funk. I always kid because their names sound like they should own, like a construction company, Funk and Hickenlooper, or they should invent something. back in the industrial age, the gear invented by Funkin' Hickenlooper. Anyway, went to the number one party. So I flew down to Nashville a day or two before, and the night that I got there, threw my bags in my room. I was starving, so I went down to the restaurant in the hotel. Nice enough hotel, like kind of like the Westin where we hold the road rally. It's nice enough, not a Four Seasons, but certainly nice enough. And I walk into the restaurant, and there's Kenny Rogers sitting there at a table all by himself. And as I'm, 10 feet away, he goes, "You're the guy from Taxi, right?" And I went, "Yeah, I am. How did you even know that?" He goes, "I know who you are." And he invited me to sit down with him, and he bought me a steak dinner and thanked me for, the whole Buy Me a Rose thing started out at a Taxi road rally with the song getting heard on a panel. It was actually called Little Things, I believe, was the title. A publisher heard it on the panel, commented, "That song will get cut someday and be a hit." The two songwriters were in the audience. They walked up to the publisher after the panel and said, "Well, if you like it so much, why don't you be our publisher?" He signed them to a deal. And the story goes, I think Kenny Rogers heard it 7 or 8 times. Finally, on the last time he heard it, when he said, "Yes, I want to cut this and put it on my next album," he turned to the publisher and said, "Why have you never played that for me before?" So for those of you who get frustrated when your stuff gets forwarded and you don't hear anything, there you go. What an awesome guy, R.I.P. Kenny. Yeah, I got to say, I had a preconceived notion about Kenny Rogers. I thought he would be, maybe like a little full of himself, big star. That guy was such a nice guy. Very, very authentic, very genuine, and could not have been any nicer to me. And the day after, when we were all at the number one party, he actually called Doug Minnick, who was our vice president at the time, and myself, and I think Michael Lederer, who was my partner at the time, God, come on over here, guys, get in the picture. So we all got a picture holding our awards with Kenny Rogers. It was nice. Peter Rahill wants to know who remembers the first edition. Only those of us who are over 60, Peter. That's who. Right. What condition my condition was in. Kenny Rogers dropped acid and did a song. All right. Any other questions? Studio stuff, Taxi stuff, cooking tips. I leave the house only to work. Mask, gloves, constant sanitizing, get gas, groceries on the way home. Get gas. Well, try Beano. Someday before I pass, Charles says, I will join Taxi, but I'm 75 now, and on Social Security, money's very tight. We had a Taxi member, his name is escaping me. Peter, I can't remember his last name, it's killing me. Anyway, Peter just passed away about a year ago, and we got him at least one publishing deal that went on to make him a tidy sum every year. He was an older gentleman who had stuff that he recorded during World War II. We connected him with an awesome publisher that specializes in vintage music, among other things, but that's kind of their main thrust. And Peter Sevo Sr. Anyway, he would cuss like a sailor, and he was making music back when people were, dancing in those big USO clubs, and we were at war. And I think his first record was actually recorded in one of those recording booths at, like a pier somewhere or something like that, some sort of attraction kind of place. Anyway, I called him up one day and told him how tickled pink I was that at his age, in his golden years, and retired and living on, Social Security income, how happy I was that he was picking up like another 20 grand a year or more in sync fees. And he said, "Young man, I don't give a flying F about the money. It's all about the fact that my music is finally getting heard after like 70 years or something. It's like 70 years. So that was one of the most touching, if not the most touching moment I experienced as the owner of Taxi. I'm scanning. Hi, Deb and Keith. taxi question. Is the rally still planned for the normal weekend? Yes, it is. I've been in touch with the hotel people. We've actually even signed the contract at this point or we're getting ready to. We've got the contract in hand, haven't signed it yet for 2021. I believe the dates this year are November 5th through the 8th, and so far all indications are that everything should be calmed down and relatively back to normal. I would imagine that, who the hell could predict when this thing is going to end and when it will be safe to get on an airplane again. But I would imagine that people will probably fly, but they'll wear masks. Just a guess. I don't know. I took an overseas flight February 17th or 18th, and I'd heard mention of the coronavirus. I knew that it was happening, but I'm moderately germophobic. It's like I'm careful about germs. I'm not like, oh my God, I'm going to die if I touch one. But I am the kind of guy that'll get bronchitis or something. If there's one germ on an airplane, it will find its way to my seat. So I get on the plane and I pull out my little wipey things and I'm wiping down the tray table and the latch on the tray table and the little, air conditioning vent thing up above and the window shade. I'm doing all this stuff. And a lady came in and sat down in front of me. And she's wearing a mask. And just before she sat down, she went, let out a hefty cough. And oh, crap. Ann House says, thank you, Michael, for the dates of the road rally. I will start walking to LA now. You know what, Ann? Buy your plane ticket now because they're really, really, really cheap. Everything is easily half price, if not worse. Let's see. Yeah, L. Harrison says, make sure if you're getting food deliveries, make sure your food deliveries are sealed. Absolutely. And you know what? You don't know where those hands have been that packaged your food up. Friends of mine who are as careful as I am have told me that when they get food delivered from Costco or a delivery restaurant, they literally leave the outside packaging outside on the front step for a couple of days or, throw it away after the meal wearing gloves. And when they bring the stuff into the house, they wipe every possible thing they could wipe other than the food itself with a sanitizing wipe. Why not? I got to show you guys something. I think I held up the other day, but I will hold it up again. As a matter of fact, I'm certain I've held this up before, but I double checked last night. I went online and this thing actually works. This is a UV sanitizing wand. It is made by Verilux. I believe you can find them on Amazon. I'm sure they're probably sold out. But it emits UVC rays, which apparently mess with the DNA in a virus and kill it. So, like when I get back from the grocery, I'm washing every tangerine with hot soapy water. I'm washing off bananas. I'm washing off avocados. Box of cereal. I wipe down the entire outside of the box with a sanitizing wipe, all that stuff. And then I take the stuff, lay it out on a particular part of the kitchen counter and do my... and sanitize it even further with that. Then I throw my clothes. I use a flamethrower. Flamethrower, Tom Hoy says. I throw my clothes in the washer and dryer. Cleaning everything's a lot of work. This is going to stick with us. When they talk about how long will this go on, I think the after effect of people being much more cognizant of how you can get germs in everyday life will be with us. Maybe the flu will be less present in our lives because people will just be more careful. Peter Rahal says, get in the SUV and get some UVA for your DNA any day. Yay. What? Charles says, God bless you for talking with us songwriters. It helps to talk with you, one who knows about music. I don't actually know much about music. I just fake it. I do music my entire adult life. All right, it all started February of 1964 with the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, and I've been involved in music my entire adult life. I've been very, very fortunate to earn my living doing something that I'm passionate about. Ed Smaron, just checking in now, 79 in Chicago, as in 79 degrees or 79 people that have passed away. I grew up in a little farm town outside of Chicago and have family that live in Chicago. So 79 degrees, wow. I got to say, it's like chilly here today. It's been chilly the last few days, like, 43 at night and maybe 55 during the day. Wow, 79, that's nice. Ann House says to Charles, check out back episodes with Robin Frederick, Ralph Murphy, and other great lyric people. Absolutely, on Taxi TV she's talking about. L. Harrison says, yes, music, Beatles. Thanks for talking about the health thing. Don't talk to others about it, really. I know, well, that's the reason I started this is I'm in a house all by myself. And, I can't say that I'm going stir crazy. I can't say that I'm particularly lonely. Oh, crap. My wife could be watching. No, actually, my wife and kids and I, video chat at least once a day, if not sometimes twice or three times in a day. Brad Gray wants to know. Brad Gray wants to know, who was your favorite artist to work with? I don't know. There were several of them for different reasons. I loved working with the guys in Firefall because I was only about 6 months old in my studio experience at the time, and the only reason I got thrown on that record as the second engineer was nobody else wanted to do it because the guys weren't famous as a band. They were all from other famous bands, but it was kind of a B-plus level supergroup, if you will, that turned out A-level songs, and I was very fortunate to work on that record. Carl Richardson was the engineer on it, and I'd been taking his RIAA class at night at Criteria because I worked there and I got in for free. And I learned so much from him about microphones and just recording techniques in general. And when it came time to start that record, I walked in the control room. Literally, they paged me, come to the office. They said, hey, we're throwing you on a record. Nobody else wants to do it. Have a nice day. And I walk in the control room and Carl says, go set up the room like I taught you how to do it in class. Well, of course, there is no standard setup for a recording studio. It depends what the instrumentation is, the nature of the music. Is it soft rock? Is it metal? All these things dictate. So I went out there and I talked to the guys in the band, found out, how many would be playing at a time. Would it be rhythm tracks with the full band or not? Or, just bass drums and a guitar and then everything else overdubbed. So I got the lowdown from them, and I set up the room, and I walked back in the control room fully expecting Carl to be shaking his head going, and I said, how did I do? And he goes, I wouldn't change a thing. And I remember I was actually kind of choking back tears. I was so proud of myself, or so tickled pink that I passed the test. Anyway, I learned a lot on that record. I got along really well with the guys in the band. Their producer, Jim Mason, and I hit it off. I still keep in touch with a couple of the guys in the band, and after 40 some years. So, it was kind of like your first kiss or whatever. I will never forget that record. Obviously, I did a lot of Neil Young stuff, countless hours. At first, I worked with Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young on a reunion record that never came out. It was supposed to be all four of them, and then the band broke up again. And it started out as Stills and Young, and then it became Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and then it became Stills, Young, in Miami, and Crosby and Nash went back to San Francisco. Stills and Young did Long May You Run by the Stills Young Band, and Crosby and Nash did Whistling Down the Wire, I believe. Anyway, that was an incredible experience. Tensions were high. It's hard to explain to regular people what it's like to be in a room, not just for an hour or a day or a week, but for months, with people who are so immensely talented and gifted and messed up and beautiful, all these things coming together to make this unique magic that a band like Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, I mean, in my eyes at the time, and maybe to this day, the only thing that would have been better would be working on a Beatles record. So I was thrilled. I remember when I was 17 years old at a makeout party in somebody's basement. I was with my girlfriend, Shelley Schneider, and somebody put on CSNY Deja Vu, and I remember saying, what I wouldn't give to work with a band like that. I didn't even know what the hell I meant when I said work with, in what capacity, blah, blah, blah. I just knew that the music was great and I wanted to make records. And 2 years later, I was working in a big time studio, and 9 or 10 or 11 months after that, I was working with Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. So be careful what you wish for. Anyway, a couple of years after that record was done, I had moved to a place called Triad Recording Studio in Fort Lauderdale. It was a really nice world-class 24-track studio that was kind of Criteria Studios equivalent, which at the time, Criteria Studios was the only world-class studio in South Florida. So then some rich kid got his grandfather to pony up the money to build him a studio, and the kid figured out he couldn't engineer, couldn't run a business. I went there to bring a record that I was actually producing, and I needed a room. I couldn't get into Criteria, so I went there and ended up just taking the place over for the next 5.5 years. The kid that owned the studio just left the country and gave me the keys, so I had my own playground of world-class gear for 5.5 years, and that was where I did all the stuff with Neil Young. He literally just showed up one day. I was at a meeting with some music attorneys about actually finalizing the contract on something I was about to start production on. And my partner at the studio called me and he said, dude, you need to get back here now. And I said, well, I'm in a meeting with these attorneys. He said, no, you need to come back right now, right now. Neil Young is standing in the lobby 25 feet away from me. And I said, what does he want? He goes, I think he wants to do a record here. So I ended the meeting. I jump in my car. I drive over to the studio. I walk in the front door, and there's Neil just hanging out in the lobby, kind of looking at the gold records on the wall. He goes, oh, hey, now, I remember you. Yeah, we worked together on that record with Steven, right? I said, yeah, we did. He goes, you want to do a record with me? And I said, okay, when? He goes, now. And he went out to his car. He had a 1954, I believe, 53, 54 Ford station wagon that was two-tone, coral pink and eggshell white, with a bunch of conch shells glued to the roof. He called it the Cosmic Coral Wagon. And we unloaded a bunch of guitars, brought them in the studio, opened the cases, let them acclimate to the temperature and humidity, and started laying stuff down. And we ended up working pretty much 5 or 6 days a week from 10 or 11 in the morning till 6 or 7 at night. No crazy hours, no crazy drugs. It was just Neil, myself, and my assistant, Paul Kaminsky, who sadly passed away a couple of years ago. Paul, R.I.P. dude. Great assistant, really good friend. And the three of us were, it was in a sandbox with Neil Young every day. And boy, did I learn a lot from him. Life-changing stuff, really simple, obvious life-changing stuff, but sometimes you don't recognize the obvious stuff until somebody kind of shoves it in your face. And the first thing he shoved in my face was telling me that I worried too much about things like compression, reverb, equalization. He said, I forbid you to do any compression or EQ in my stuff. Just concentrate on helping me determine which are the best performances, because it's all about feel and emotion. It's not about what the equalizer is doing. And so he would get up and walk around the room wearing his guitar, his Martin, strapped on, and we had to record everything because you never knew when he was going to lay down a little lick or something. He wouldn't say, okay, now let's record this. You just had the tape machine rolling. And literally, if he was tuning the guitar, you had to have the tape rolling because he could finish tuning and just sit there and pluck something out and go, huh, that's cool. And like 6 weeks later say, remember that day I was tuning my guitar and I played that little riff? Can you find that for me? So we had to annotate all this stuff like crazy. Anyway, I learned so much. I kind of became a de facto producer in that record, although I certainly wasn't credited as such. But Neil made me think about what was going on performance-wise, what was going on emotion-wise. Not so much caring about the tuning, not caring about, if a note was pitchy, which, with Neil could be an issue, but he's one of the few people on the planet that his pitchiness can be really endearing. And he's so authentic. And when he sings, he gives the words such meaning. He doesn't just sing words, he sings a story. And so I learned a lot on that record and loved every minute of it. One of the most fun sessions I ever worked on was a little 2 or 3 day session with Cheap Trick. They were in Miami or Fort Lauderdale doing a concert, and I got a call from either their record label or their management company saying they need to record a song for a movie. And they came in, and they were so much fun. Incredible musicianship. It's funny, Rick Nielsen, out of character, is a really nice guy, but a pretty serious guy, not the goofy guy you see on stage. Even when he's laying down parts that he would probably, be a goofball playing on stage. It's his persona on stage. In the studio, seriously amazing guitar player. Bunny Carlos on drums. Man, that guy didn't even think about it. There was something kind of Ringo-esque about the way Bunny Carlos played drums. I can't really tell you exactly why, but I remember several times thinking, there's something, akin to Ringo when he's out there playing. It's something really terrible. True confession time. Boy, those of you who are watching the show today, getting a treat. I don't think I've ever confessed this before, but I had some younger brother-in-laws, the younger brothers of my first wife, Karen, who I speak fondly of on the show every chance I get. They were big fans of Cheap Trick. And they said, is there any chance you could get Bunny Carlos to autograph a drumhead for us? And I said, sure. He's a nice guy. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to do it. So he did. He autographed a drumhead for each of the two boys. And then I think it was my assistant, Paul Kaminsky, and I figured out, we've got a mic closet with about 25 used drumheads on the floor that we just, keep them for a rainy day. If they don't have a hole in them and we don't have a replacement head, we'll throw an old used one on. So we took those out. That night after they went home, we took them out and one by one overlaid them on the ones that Bunny had signed, and we traced the signature and then gave them out to a bunch of other junior high kids that were big fans of Cheap Trick. So I'm going straight to hell for that one, I'm sure. All right, enough studio stories. I think everybody fell asleep while I was telling those stories. Thanks a lot. Any other questions? We've got 11 minutes of today's episode. Don't forget, tomorrow we're doing it at 4 o'clock Pacific time. I'm so sorry to you guys in Sweden and the UK. Peter Rahill and George Georgia say, amazed, great stories. Amanda's buying a UVA wand. I'm telling you, I love that thing. You always got to wonder, is it really doing anything? First of all, don't look at the light. It can really hurt your eyes. But I went online and read, and they said, yeah, it can. It's just dangerous. Like, don't, let it get on your skin. Which, admittedly, have I wanded my hand for 5 seconds? Yes, I have. Dean Turner says he loves the studio stories. Edmund Red. Hey, Edmund, how you doing? Loving the studio stories. Wow. Excuse me. Amanda's buying the UV wand on Amazon now. How much are they? Well, I mean, you're seeing it in pounds. Space Muse just joined Taxi last week. Loving this. Welcome aboard. Get to know the people in the forum at forums with an S, forums.taxi.com. Ariana, would you please post that in the chat? A little one at 16 pounds plus 5 postage. Wow. I remember at the time that the staff gave this to me, and I was looking for a replacement bulb because I thought mine was broken, but it was just not popped in there well enough. Anyway, I looked up the wand. It was like $118 back then. This one's rechargeable. It seemed a little expensive. So 16 pounds is around $32. Edmund Red says, you should do something similar to Taxi Trivia to get to know Taxi and its history, along with some funny stories. That's a great idea. Taxi Trivia. Let me make a note about that, and we'll do one of those. I like playing Stump the Staff with trivia because I've told every story about every minute of my life to every staff member. When I walk into a room, they all go, oh, crap, here he comes again. We're going to have to hear a story. So I like stumping the staff. Akira Canyon wants to know, ML, any suggestions for getting a collaboration started? Brad and I started a forum post but didn't get any replies. You know what? Change the subject to collaborate on song for Taxi TV play. I bet you get some takers then. Why do I think Taxi is so successful? I think that there are many, many reasons. First of all, I started the company online only back when it was only on America Online when they had 100,000 subscribers. That was ahead of its time. It was a bad move, and I had to also roll it out on paper in an analog way to keep the company alive. Persistence has had a lot to do with it. I did have one good idea in my lifetime, and that was the idea for Taxi. I wrote the business plan pretty much in like a 48-hour stretch, with only getting out of the chair to like go to the bathroom and eat food. And I think I was so hyper-focused, had like tunnel vision. It all came to me in a moment. I knew exactly what I wanted it to do. And funny enough, I actually still have that business plan that I wrote 28 years ago, almost 29 years ago. And I pull it out once a year, usually the week between Christmas and New Year's. Is a little slow around the office, and I'll go in there and just pull that thing out and sometimes spend like 4 hours looking at it and go, damn, I guessed good. Even the numbers, business plans are famous for projections being very blue sky and off. My projections were right on the money. It was guesswork, but it was good gut instinct guesswork. The reason it's been so successful, I believe, if I had to pick a singular reason, is because it's something I tell staff members when I hire a new staffer. The first day they work there, I pull them into my office and I say, always do the right thing. This is actually in one of our staff manuals. Always do the right thing. If you don't know what the right thing is, ask me, meaning me. We don't lie. We don't cheat. We don't tell white lies. Every listing is real. And I can't say that for many of the other companies. Eventually, it seems like the employees of other companies at some point or another drift in and apply for a job at Taxi. And I've had so many people that I've met over the years tell me, oh my gosh, they were making up listings left and right. There's one company that virtually all the listings were made up, and they were charging people to submit. And the music was never going to go anywhere because the listings were made up. It was a total fraud. So if there's a singular reason why Taxi has been successful all these years, is because we're honest. Look, we've got to be. I mean, it's my nature. I believe it's the nature of the people that work there. I've got a great crew working there right now. I love my staff. It's just, who would want to work at a business that lies and cheats, It's just not the way to live life. But that's my that's the way I want to live my life, and that's the way I want my company to represent me, because it is an extension of me. And I don't want to die someday and have people telling my kids or grandkids after I'm gone, yeah, every penny he made was because he was a really slick scam artist. I want Taxi, no matter how many ways you check us out, we will come up clean. People post stuff about us online that really pisses me off because it's lies. It's utter lies. They just make stuff up and they're trying to hurt us. And it does. It definitely hurts us, but it's lies. I wouldn't be so upset. I might not be upset at all if people posted trash about Taxi if it were true, but it's not. Anyway, so the only way we can combat that is by doing a spectacularly good job, great job of working for you guys. And word of mouth from happy customers is, like they say, sunlight is the best disinfectant. Well, working really hard to make your customers happy is the best disinfectant for jerkwads who go online and say stuff that's 100% not true. And some of it is our competitors using fake names on other people's forums and on Facebook, saying crap about Taxi. It's not true because they're trying to hurt our reputation so that their company can be uplifted. Dean Crepane said he found a one on Amazon for $99. That sounds about right. Any of them made by Verilux? There's a foldable travel one. Oh, let me get down here. Amanda West, you were my music biz university, Michael. Thank you. Tom Hoy says, Taxi gave me my wheels. Amanda says, I'm always defending Taxi. Thank you. We would not be alive if not for the support of our members. We all know that we get to buy food at a grocery store because of you guys. So it seems like a fair deal to all of us who work at Taxi that you put your faith in us by plunking your hard-earned money down, and we have to deliver. That's our end of the deal, is we have to give you your money's worth. We always try, frankly, to give you way more than your money's worth. There you go. Question from Ann House. What current songs from different genres would you consider go-to reference songs when you are checking your speakers and system? I realize that all of mine are over 10 years old. Lady Gaga. I mean, I'm a fan of her anyway, a huge fan of her. Her records sound great. Shakira's records sound great. You know what? Why can I not think of the artist? Huge gospel artist, the number one gospel artist in the world. Shirelli does his records. I don't know if I've ever even told Rob this, but I go listen to that stuff and it makes the hair on my arm stand up. Kirk Franklin. Go listen to the Kirk Franklin records. A lot of organic instruments in there, but Rob's work on those records is astoundingly good. So, I mean, and I do go into my office on Saturdays sometimes. If I work a lot of Saturdays actually, but I'll go into the office on a Saturday if I've got a lot of listening to do. I'm not listening to stuff for listings, but people that have sent me stuff, and I kind of say regrettably I agree to listen to it because I'd like to have a Saturday off. But I go into the office and I listen to the stuff, and a lot of times I will take either stuff that I worked on back in the day because I know exactly how that should sound, and tweak my speakers a little bit. Or the Kirk Franklin stuff is probably what I've used most recently. Oh gosh, there was a guy on Dancing with the Stars who did a record. I can't think of his name. And Shirelli, I think, engineered, produced, and mixed that one. I can't remember his name, but I called Rob up, and I was literally choking back tears of pride. I was so proud of the work Rob did on that record that I called him up and said, dude, you've gotten to a point, in your chops that I could only dream about when I was sitting in that chair. So hats off to you, man. I'm so incredibly proud. Why can I not think of the guy's name? Anyway, I'll think of it as soon as the show's over. And guess what? The show's over. It's 3:00. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed today's episode of the Quarantini Happy Hour. Hope you enjoyed this story. Sometimes I wonder if, oh my God, there he goes yammering on again. But, what can I say? I will see you tomorrow. Remember, tomorrow is going to be our test run of the show at 4 p.m. Pacific time. So 2 hours later, wherever you are. And just, keep your chins up, folks. Starting to see little glimmers of light at the end of the tunnel. I don't think anything's going to happen too fast, but, there's always hope. And we will all survive this. The human race will survive this. Look, we've been through world wars. We've been through the Holocaust. We've been through slavery, all these terrible things that have happened during the time that man has lived on Earth. And here we are. We have survived it. We will survive this. And thank you for letting me be part of your lives on these days where we hang out to keep from going stir crazy and, getting cabin fever and going cuckoo. We don't need cuckoo. So with that, I bid you a fond farewell till mañana. Stay safe. Be germophobic. Buy a UV wand. And I will see you dudes and dudettes tomorrow. Good night, you guys.